Whoa. This isn't just a holiday mashup. It's the handmade rebellion Disney once tried to sideline. In the next minutes, we'll sprint through 20 weird, rarely told facts. A poem rescued from a vault, a label switch that whispered too dark, a director everyone miscredits, a doorknob shot that broke brains, and live concerts that still pack arenas. Expect craft over CGI, marketing gambits over fairy dust, and politics under the ribbon. Ready to reopen the coffin, the Pumpkin King is humming. Fact 1. The buried poem that wouldn't die. Before pumpkins sang and snow fell, it was a strange poem in a studio that didn't know what to do with it. In 1982, Tim Burton watched Halloween masks come down while Christmas ornaments went up and imagined a skeleton aching for a different season. He pitched the short, Silence. Too odd for the brand, the idea was boxed. An animator drifted away to stranger pastures. Years later, after Beetlejuice and Batman rewired his reputation, Disney cracked the vault and dusted the pages. The poem returned with a bigger heartbeat. Henry Selick's stop-motion army, Danny Elfman's melodies, and a warehouse of skies. What changed wasn't the story, it was the courage to tell it loud. The misfit that didn't fit the castle became the castle's secret weapon. Buried once, it came back singing. Next, why it didn't say Disney at first. Fact 2. Touchstone first, Disney later. The studio loved the craft but feared the vibe. In 1993, Disney released the film under its edgier Touchstone banner, code for great but too dark for the castle. The marketing leaned whimsical instead of scary. The MPAA came back PG, and the movie slid into theaters as a beautiful outlier. Then culture caught up. Years of home video love, merch that wouldn't quit, and a new generation claiming Jack as their holiday icon flipped the risk calculus. In 2006, the 3D re-release marched in with the Walt Disney Pictures banner, not Touchstone, and the company embraced what it once tiptoed around. The label switch wasn't paperwork, it was confession. Disney realized the handmade macabre was family entertainment, just dressed in stripes and stitches. From too weird for us to ours, in one brand swap. Next, the director everyone forgets to credit, Henry Selick. Fact 3. The director people forget. Everyone says Tim Burton's, but the person calling the shots on set was Henry Selick. While Burton produced and supplied the world's look, Selick, an ace of stop motion, directed every beat from a San Francisco warehouse, juggling 20-plus stages and an army of animators. Batman Returns kept Burton away. Selick handled exposure sheets, lighting continuity, puppet repairs, and the microscopic acting that sells feeling without pupils. He mapped camera passes, coaxed performances from armatures, and locked rhythm to Danny Elfman's songs so motion felt like music. The result is why Jack moves like a dancer instead of a marionette. Credit where it's due. Burton dreamed the shapes, Selick made them breathe, one photograph at a time. That miscredit isn't scandal, it's shorthand that's stuck. Now that it's fixed, let's see what it cost to keep that dream moving. 3 years of frame-by-frame grind. Fact 4. 3 years, 100,000 frames, endurance filmmaking. Stop motion looks charming. Making it is brutal. This film ran like a relay for nearly 3 years, with crews living on coffee, exposure sheets, and patience. 20-plus miniature stages rolled at once. Every second on screen required 24 photographs. Every photograph demanded tiny adjustments. Hands, eyelids, dress hems, crumbs on a table. If an elbow twitched wrong, you didn't redo a shot. You rebuilt time. Lighting had to match lamp for lamp. Dust was the enemy. Fingerprints were resculpted into wood grain. Jack's faces clicked on and off a skull by magnets. Sally's hair moved on hidden rigs. Zero's glow was baked into materials, not software. Supervisors logged puppet performances like actors' call sheets. The miracle isn't that it looks smooth. The miracle is that it looks alive. Next, one studio note almost changed Jack's face forever, and the crew refused. Fact 5. Give Jack pupils. No, Disney's first big note was simple. Give Jack pupils. Big friendly eyes equal audience empathy, right? Henry Selick and Tim Burton pushed back hard. Jack's soul, they argued, lives in motion, not eyeballs. In the tilt of his skull, the length of a pause, the way his fingers open open like questions. Eyes would humanize him the wrong way and kill the elegant, living skeleton illusion. Instead, the team engineered a language of posture and mouth shapes. 400 swap-out heads, precise jaw angles, tiny timing shifts that read as curiosity, hurt, or bravado. Watch him lean into light when he's hopeful and fold inward when he doubts. You feel everything without a dot in either socket. The studio relented, and the hollow gaze became iconic. No pupils, more personality. Next up, how two voices, Chris Sarandon and Danny Elfman, merged to make that personality sing. Fact 6. Two voices, one Jack. Jack Skellington speaks with Chris Sarandon's velvet precision and sings with Danny Elfman's restless heart. That split wasn't a gimmick, it was architecture. Elfman wrote the songs first, demoed every melody himself, and poured in the ache of a performer craving a different stage. Sarandon then shaped the spoken lines to match that musical soul. Cadence, breath, even the little smile you hear between consonants. Editors stitched the performances so tightly that most viewers never feel the handoff. Listen to Jack's lament. The sung confession bleeds into spoken resolve without a seam. What's this? Flips back to dialogue like an afterbeat. Two textures, one character, thought and desire, arguing inside the same skull. That's why Jack sounds like a confession, not a show tune. He isn't performing for us, he's admitting something to himself. Next, when words failed, music rewired the entire script. Fact 7. Songs saved the script. Early pages fell flat, jokes misfired, rhythms died, and the poem's strange heartbeat got lost. So Tim Burton flipped the process. He stopped chasing dialogue and asked Danny Elfman to score the story straight from his mouth. Burton described each scene. Elfman answered with songs. Jack's lament. What's this? Sally's song. The melodies carried plot, tone, and subtext, sketching character arcs where words had stalled. Only then did Caroline Thompson stitch connective tissue between numbers, shaping clean motivations and quiet turns. The production literally animated to the album, treating lyrics like blueprints. Camera beats, gestures, even edits took their cues from bars and rests. That's why the film moves like music. Scenes end on a cadence. Emotion resolves like a chord. The solution wasn't more talk, it was tune. Next, the ragdoll executives feared until she became the film's beating heart. Fact 8. Saving Sally. The ragdoll they almost cut. Executives loved the craft, feared character. A stitched-together ragdoll who poisons her creator and pops off a limb. Too macabre, they said. Early notes pushed to shrink Sally to background texture. Pretty, quiet, safe. Henry Selick and Tim Burton pushed back. They softened the edges without sanding off the spine. Less menace in the poison, more agency in the escape. Fewer shocks, more longing. Then Catherine O'Hara opened her mouth. Her whispery ache turned stitches into vulnerability, and every small rebellion into courage. Animators followed with micro-movements, hands hesitating, shoulders shrinking, hair drifting like second thoughts. Suddenly, the movie had a heart that argued with Jack's head. She isn't a side plot. She's the compass that points him home. That's why her lullaby stops film cold. Keep the monsters. Give us mercy. Next, the Santa casting that grief changed at the end. Fact 9. Vincent Price was almost Santa. Vincent Price was Tim Burton's first choice for Sandy Claus. Mentor, idol, the velvet voice of gothic warmth. He recorded early lines, but grief reshaped his tone after the death of his wife, Coral Brown. The takes felt too fragile for the film's buoyant Christmas counterweight. Henry Selick and Burton made a painful call, recast Santa with Edward Ivory, keeping Price's spirit in the shadows. Meanwhile, another storm brewed. Executives flagged the kidnap Santa sequence as too harsh for families and pushed for deep cuts. Burton argued it was the hinge, Jack's dream tipping into danger, so the team adjusted intensity without dulling truth. Fewer screams, clearer humor, tighter rhythm, same morale. The scene stayed, the lesson landed, and the movie kept its teeth. Out of loss and compromise came balance, chills, charm, and a Christmas heartbeat inside Halloween Town's bones. Next, the doorknob shot that broke brains. Fact 10. The doorknob shot that broke brains. Blink and you'll miss it. Jack's skull, perfectly reflected in the Christmas tree door's curved brass knob. No CG bailout. To pull it off, the crew had to make three things dance in lockstep: puppet, camera, and lights. Frame by frame. A curved surface warps space, so any tiny mismatch turned Jack into a funhouse smear. Animators advanced his pose micrometers. Camera ops repeated the same micro move, and gaffers nudged highlights so his face stayed readable inside the metal. One fingerprint on the knob, reset. One bump to to the set, reset. They polished between takes, charted lens distortion, and sometimes rebuilt the day for a 4-second miracle. The shot lands because your eyes see honest optics, real reflection, real parallax, real light. That's why it feels magical instead of synthetic. Weeks of patience for a blink of wonder. Next, the Scooby-Doo twist they scrapped at the finish line. Fact 11. The Scooby-Doo ending they killed. Storyboards once unmasked Oogie Boogie as Dr. Finkelstein in disguise. He'd yank off the burlap, cackle, and explain he staged the chaos to teach Jack a lesson. Henry Selick liked the irony. Tim Burton hated it. To Scooby-Doo, he said, an adult behind the monster reduces myth to prank. The fix changed everything. Oogie stayed a true creature, a sack of crawling bugs, pure-id with dice and rhythm. That keeps the tale fable clean. No mastermind, just consequences of Jack's obsession colliding with real danger. Elfman's score leans bigger, animation leans grosser, and Jack's redemption stands on its own shoulders, not on a gotcha. It's a small narrative pivot with huge tonal fallout, from clever twist to timeless parable. Sometimes restraint is the real special effect. Next, how a drawer of 400 swappable skulls turned a pupilless face into an actor. Fact 12. 400 heads. How a skull learned to act. Jack's face isn't animated, it's replaced. The crew built a library of roughly 400 swap-out heads. Smiles, smirks, vowels, clenched teeth, stunned O's, each with registration pins and tiny magnets, so every swap landed in the exact same spot. Because Jack has no pupils or brows, emotion lives in mouth shapes, jaw angle, and timing. A half-beat pause before a grin reads as doubt. A faster click feels cocky. Animators treated Vismes like sheet music, lining syllables to Elfman's bars, so dialogue sings even when he's speaking. Imperfection was polished in, not out. Hairline seams catch light for a frame, then vanish, tricking the brain into seeing skin that flexes. Tilt the skull toward light for hope, away for shame. Add a micro nod, hold one frame longer, and a bone-white oval becomes a performance. Next, the ink lines you can still see sculpted into sets. Fact 13. A moving drawing, ink lines carved into sets. Before it was a miniature city, it was a sketch. The art team studied illustrators like Edward Gorey and Ronald Searle, spidery lines, crooked humor, elegant grime, and asked, how do we make that in 3D? Answer, carve the drawing into the world. Plaster skins were scored with cross-hatching, foam walls were gouged with combs, roof lines leaned on purpose. The spiral hill used forced perspective so distance felt storybook, not photographic. Street lamps bowed like pen strokes, windows stretched taller than logic, and painted backdrops carried brushed gradients you can almost feel. Lighting sealed the illusion. Hard backlight to sharpen silhouettes. Thin edge highlights to read like ink. A touch of haze for paper tooth. Long lenses compressed space so crooked geometry layered like lines on a page. You're not just seeing sets, you're seeing a drawing that learned to move. Next, Burton's troupe returns to give that world a voice. Fact 14. Burton's troupe returns. Voices that made the town feel lived in. Burton didn't just revive a poem, he reunited a tribe. Catherine O'Hara returned from Beetlejuice to voice Sally's fragile resolve and the impish shock. Paul Rubens slipped in as Locke, cackling like a firecracker. Glenn Shadix thundered as the two-faced mayor, campaign smile by day, siren wail by night. Danny Elfman did double duty. Jack's singing voice, plus barrel, and the clown with the tear-away face, layering harmony and menace in the same throat. Ken Page poured velvet into Oogie Boogie. William Hickey crackled as Dr. Finkelstein. Ed Ivory steadied Santa. Familiar voices gave Halloween Town history. You could hear a shared past under every line. That chemistry let tiny gestures carry weight. A sigh, a squeak, a laugh on the inhale. It sounds like a reunion because it is. Next, the odd truth. This nearly started life as a TV special. Fact 15. Built for TV until it wasn't. This legend started small. In the early 80s, Tim Burton pitched it as a half-hour stop-motion holiday special. Think Rankin Bass vibes, but crooked and elegant. Disney blinked. Too weird for kids, too odd for adults. The poem went back in the drawer. A decade later, after Beetlejuice and Batman, the too weird idea came back as a feature. Bigger canvas, Henry Selick in the chair, Danny Elfman's score carrying the story. The TV DNA never left. Modular scenes that play like musical vignettes, a tight 76-minute runtime, and seasonal rhythms that beg rewatching. Irony wins. What television rejected became theatrical ritual, then looped back into living rooms every fall. You can still feel the special that never was in the pacing. Quick setups, melodic payoffs, no fat. A tiny concept needed a giant screen to feel intimate. Next, from modest opening to a seasonal empire, how cult turned into calendar. Fact 16. From cult to calendar, it didn't conquer at once. Theatrical returns were respectable, not roaring. Then the afterlife began, VHS sleepovers, DVD rediscoveries, soundtrack sing-alongs, and a merch wave that never ebbed. Jack's grin slipped onto backpacks, mugs, and hoodies. Suddenly, the too weird kid sat at every lunch table. In 2006, a 3D re-release reset the conversation, and seasonal screenings turned October and December into tradition. Streams spike when the leaves turn. Quotes reappear like carols. Couples rewatch it like ritual. What started as a misfit became a metronome for the year. Comfortingly handmade, eternally offbeat, endlessly rewatchable. That's the trick. It's small enough to revisit and rich enough to feel new. The result isn't just fandom. It's calendar ink. You don't ask if you'll press play. You ask when. Next, the parks made it permanent. The Haunted Mansion holiday overlay that won't let Jack sleep. Fact 17. Haunted Mansion holiday. When the parks let Jack move in. Every fall, Disneyland hands the keys of its Haunted Mansion to Halloween Town. Overnight, portraits sprout stitches, wreaths grow fangs, and Jack arrives as Sandy Claus. The overlay rewrites everything. Narration, soundtrack, and hundreds of props, turning Doom into a wry holiday mashup. The ballroom centerpiece is famous. A towering gingerbread house rebuilt fresh each year so fans hunt for the new gag. In the graveyard, snow flurries drift. Oogie glows like a casino. Lock, shock, and barrel cackle from the rafters. Even scents shift. Gingerbread, pine, and a hint of candle wax. The result isn't a quick reskin. It's a seasonal residency that proves the film lives beyond screens. Tokyo runs its own version, keeping the ritual global. Families plan trips around it. Next, from theme park parades to orchestra pits, Elfman's live shows that resurrect Jack on stage every single year. Fact 18. Live to film. Elfman resurrects Jack on stage. Every October, the movie climbs out of the projector and onto a stage. Danny Elfman steps under orange light, slips into Jack's voice, and a full orchestra performs the score while the film plays above. The Hollywood Bowl shows became pilgrimage. Cameos from Catherine O'Hara and Ken Page, costumes in the aisles, thousands singing "What's This?" in one breath. The concert travels London, Tokyo, Mexico City, arenas replacing cinemas, conductor clicks replacing real cues. You hear details the mix hides. Piccolos chattering like snow, low brass rolling under Oogie's swagger, a choir that makes the graveyard feel enormous. Elfman jokes, snarls, then softens. The audience answers like a second chorus. It isn't nostalgia. It proves the music is the engine. When credits end, everyone leaves humming and the movie follows them home. Next, the evergreen debate: Halloween film, Christmas film, or the beautifully strange gift that's both. Fact 19. Halloween or Christmas? Both. And that's the trick. Ask 10 fans what this movie is and you will get a split room. Some swear it is Halloween to the bone. Others play it every December beside carols and Coco. The truth is, its power lives in that tug of war. Jack carries autumn longing into winter wonder. The songs pivot from eerie to festive without changing clothes. The lesson lands in both seasons. Be curious, not content. Trade envy for gratitude. Keep your weird, share your joy. Even Henry Selick has answered both ways in interviews, which keeps the debate alive and the rewatch clock running. The argument is free marketing. Each year brings 2 chances to trend, 2 excuses to gather, 2 moments to press play. Call it spooky, call it merry. Either way, it is a ritual. Next, 30-year drumbeat proves the ritual is growing. Fact 20. 30 years on, louder than ever. Time didn't mellow this one. It multiplied it. 30 years on, the movie is bigger than its opening. Annual concert sellouts with Elfman on the mic, seasonal theater re-releases, and a non-stop river of merch that cycles like the holidays themselves. Streams spike twice a year. Pumpkins up, snow down. While What's This? And This Is Halloween climb playlists, marching from kids' rooms to gym speakers. Cosplay, tattoos, school orchestras, gingerbread builds. The community keeps rewriting how to celebrate it. Parks lock in the ritual with Haunted Mansion holiday. Fashion keeps Jack on hoodies from August to January. Even new stop-motion hits arrive under its shadow, borrowing its courage to be odd and sincere at once. That's the legacy, handmade wonder with calendar power. Not Not nostalgia, renewal. 2 seasons claim it, 3 generations share it, and each year the chorus gets louder, not older. From a shelved poem to a seasonal ritual, this story survived by hand. Selick's frame-by-frame patience, Elfman's melodies, a studio note defied, and a town carved from ink and plaster. It wasn't built to dominate, it learned to return. Each year, parks reopen the doors, orchestras lift the score, and the debate, Halloween or Christmas, keeps it evergreen. Maybe that's the spell. Wonder that refuses to choose a season. Keep weird, share joy, and let a skeleton teach you how to belong.